We back. It's your boy Don Dollar with The Weekend's Overrated. So, second installment, again, inaugural episode one of many. And we're on A Block. So, with A Block, our first A Block, we're going to discuss pretty much what I was touching on in the prior video. The mentality of the weekend's overrated and kind of what the psychology is behind it. I'm a person who believes that your mentality is where everything starts and ends. And if you listen to people talk long enough, typically their conversation or their speaking points, it'll add up to wherever they are or aren't in life, you know? Um, and for me, uh, I don't mind doing, extra work. I don't mind, putting in, more hours. I don't mind, having that detailed, level focus that allows me to achieve whatever it is that I'm looking to achieve. Because I understand that, things that, require again, attention to detail, they require, more work, more effort, more emphasis. They typically have, great value attached to it at the end. And one thing that I typically see is that people don't want to put in the extra work. And, but they want the reward of what the extra work gets you. And when you think about, that idea of the weekend being overrated, just think about it. The weekend is really one full day and Saturday, and then Sunday you're getting ready for Monday, and then Friday the weekend really doesn't start until what 5 o'clock. So you have a finite window of time in which your mind is like excited. Whether you want to go out or party, dinner, or any type of activities. So for me, again, I noticed that, people dread Monday mornings. They dread, that weekly grind. But my thought process is, that's where the bulk of your time is. So I think it's more so you have to change the way you think in order to really, optimize whatever results that you're looking to get at whatever you're looking to do in your life. Um, so that's just something that like I said, I'm an observer. So whatever conversations I'm having, whether it's friends, business associates, family, etc., you know I listen to people. I listen to them very, very attentively, just to kind of get an idea of where their thought process is, because again, the mentality is where everything starts and stops, at least for me. um and I'm always a person that's going to encourage and push people to challenge themselves. I did a water fast this past August. I did 31 days all liquid. I did, I think, 90% water and then like 5% smoothies and then 5% tea, but majority was water. And I'm not going to sit here and act like that wasn't, quite the challenge. It was very, very, very difficult. One of the more difficult things that I've done in my life. But the fact of it being difficult, it didn't deter me. Actually, it made me want to engage more, um, because there were a lot of benefits that I was able to, reap during that time frame. Just the mental clarity, from a spiritual standpoint, and it really kind of unlocked something in my mind. I was like, if I can go 31 days just on liquid alone, what else can I do? And I don't want to say it made me feel invincible, but it definitely gave me a new sense of, what can I do? Like, I don't foresee any particular thing that is just big enough or too much for me to conquer or achieve. And that's a hell of a feeling. And only certain things I feel like can bring that out in you. I don't feel like, you know, things that you like. a controlled environment. I don't think controlled environments produce the best results. I feel like sometimes you gotta, you want the unpredictability just because that's what's gonna test you, because you don't know what you are until you gotta prove it. That's that's just how I think. So yeah, and then I was very intentional in regards to wanting to name the show the weekend's overrated, because I think too much time we get cloaked in comfort, but not understanding that being out of the comfort zone is what produces the growth. And I'm all about growing. I don't ever want to get stuck in my ways. That's like a fear of mine, because when you get stuck in your ways, you don't give yourself the ability to expand and evolve. And that's just something that's important in my opinion. I think evolving and growing is very important. You don't want to never feel like you peaked. You want to just continue to elevate as time goes along. So, um, just in general, like I said, with that weekend's overrated, that concept, that mantra, you want to say, hey, this is my life. I have this amount of time to live, right? Not to say that this is short, but just for conversation's sake. And instead of acting as if I'm not grateful or excited about the opportunity to do whatever it is that I'm passionate about for the majority of the time, I'm just going to not focus on the day and a half that I get to have quote unquote fun, right? But what's more funner than becoming the best version of yourself, and so that's just what my thought process was in regards to that. So, and as we grow and as the show continues with episodes and different topics that we talk about, a lot of things will be centered around the mentality, how we approach things, the thought process, etc. So, like I said, if you're tuning in, thanks. Hit that sub, hit that like, share with somebody. Because, like I said, the things that we're going to be discussing, relatability, and that's just something that I feel like is important. I feel like too many times when we what's the word I'm looking for? Too many times when we consume content, a lot of it isn't things that allows our mind to think. It's just more so for entertainment purposes. And we just kind of wanted to pivot a little bit off of that. So that's all we got for A Block. Weekend's overrated. It's your host Don Dollar. Checking out. Peace.